Hey, welcome to the second course video for the song Breathe from NF's album Therapy Session. I'm musically malnourished, and you're on my journey to go deep and wide in discovering new music and artists. In these videos, we do a deep dive into the lyrics and meaning behind the music. So let's get in, see what's going on with this song. Breathe, following an emotional track, that's what I said, How Could You Leave Us, highlights the importance of taking a breath. NF also talks about his past in Gladwin, Michigan, a broken relationship, his depression, and pain he has experienced in the past. The chorus is sung by Fleury, an uncredited feature who also appeared on NF's 2015 track Mansion. The chorus also samples Fleury's 2016 track Breathe, which talks about the same concept. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, look, it's his song, and he's going to write about whatever he wants to write about. I do really wish, because I think it would fit even well in the album, and I'm curious to see, as NF's music continues to evolve, the different subject matters that he gets into, because I do think that it would be really cool to hear a rap from NF, especially coming out of a heavy track that does talk about quiet, silence, prayer, rest, breathing. And so you kind of get this concept of breathe in there, but it's still pretty heavy on the idea of just broken relationships and things not working out. So I think that would be a cool thing to see. So I'd be curious if he has any content material like that as we move forward through his discography. What did NF say about Breathe? I still have issues, but over the past year and a half, there are a lot of areas I've matured in. And with that comes the realization of how much of an idiot I was and still am in some areas of my life. This song is me realizing some of that and also still trying to figure things out. In my past relationship, I was so immature and selfish, but couldn't see it at the time. Yeah, I can understand that. All right, let's get up here into the lyrics. Breathe. I grew up in a small place, had to drive an hour just to see a movie. I'm a simple person. City life just doesn't move me. You know, and I've heard too, and it may say something in the annotations here, that NF still leads a pretty private life, pretty quiet life. And so even kind of growing up this way, not really caring so much for the city life or the light, the spotlight being on him, this kind of tracks. So I'm curious if this gives us any info into that. NF is from the town of Gladwin, Michigan. Gladwin has a population of under 3,000. Wow. Where I live, I think the last it was around like 6,000. And so we don't have a movie theater near us. I'd have to drive 25 minutes at least to get to the closest theater. But that theater sucks, dude. Last time me and my family went to that theater, I don't know if they had like shampooed all the seats. Pretty sure that's what had happened. And it smelt, and the seats were damp. Dude, it was bad. While going to the movies is a common social outing, especially when you're a kid growing up, there aren't any in Gladwin. The closest options are NCG Cinemas in Midland, Michigan, or Celebration, Cinemas in Mount Pleasant. Okay. NF just doesn't connect with the city life. His roots are in the small town life. That's where he feels best fits him. Where's he currently living? I wonder if that information's public. All right, this says, let me see. Is from Gladwin, grew up there, though he keeps his current specific residence private, I figured. He remains connected to his Michigan roots. Some people say he lives in Nashville. Oh, okay. The internet sleuths by looking at the location on his wife's Instagram. That makes sense. Still like a hotbed for music, right? All right. I'd rather be home with my grandparents and playing euchre. Euchre? Which I know his grandparents were the primary ones that raised him, and then obviously in his newest album, Fear, which we went through already. We started in Fear and then went back. I know he talks about the loss of his grandmother, which was really, really hard for him. Euchre is a card game widely played across the Midwest, especially Michigan, usually played with 4 people. The Trump idea central to playing euchre is similar to the card game Spades. For many people in the area NF grew up, euchre is tied to friends and family. Multiple generations often know how to play within a family, so it is something that connects the family members together. NF is also stating that he enjoys the little things in life rather than being materialistic. Gotta love a good card game. I played a card game last night with my after dinner. My 3 kids and my wife, we all played. It was called Santa, Cookie, Elf, Candy, Snowman. I think that's what it was. And basically, like, you all have these random cards in your hand and you have to lay them down. It's almost like a slapjack type thing. You lay them face up and you have to say that thing in order: Santa, Cookie, Elf, Candy, Snowman, Santa, Cookie, Elf. Anyways, and if you flip over the card and you say Santa or whatever, and it is a Santa, everybody has to slap the card. The last one to slap is out. My family is very competitive. And so there are a few like, hey, hold on. We got to talk for a minute within every game that we play. But I guess that's just how you learn. Didn't want to leave, but this dream's calling. I had to do it. I left my girl there. Wish I would have done it different. See, this is interesting because obviously rather be home with my grandparents. Like, they're going to live there. It's fine. You've got to leave. But here I'm wondering if it's like the relationship wasn't going well, because ideally, right, you get married and you go pursue your dreams together. But it sounded like, obviously with the rest of the content in the song, maybe he didn't handle certain things well within the relationship. And so therefore it was kind of like he had to leave the relationship to essentially die so that he could go pursue his music. Guess she was right when she told me that I don't ever listen. I told her I'd change 1,000,000 times and never did. Apologies don't mean a thing if you don't ever fix it. Wow. And it's true, right? I mean, what is the nature of an apology? An apology is the realization that you have made an error. And I don't think, because in the same thing he gets into this idea of people say nobody's perfect but expect perfection, that nobody is going to be perfect. There are some mistakes you will make more than once. But I think we also have to realize the reality that there are some mistakes you only get the chance to make once. You know, take something like infidelity. Now, I've seen marriages work through infidelity, but man, is it tough. And sometimes that's a mistake that you only get the chance to make once, and you will lose everything you worked so hard to build within relationships. But yeah, I guess there is, like, to truly be sorry for something, to truly give an apology, at least means you're making an effort to not repeat the same mistake over and over. And the hope is, let's just say that maybe it has to do with like your impatience, you know, and you tend to get sarcastic, or you tend to belittle someone when you get angry. And so the hope is, if that's a consistent thing for you, and you make that mistake, you realize it's wrong, you apologize, the hope is that the gap gets wider and wider, and then eventually becomes something that hopefully you can just realize the patterns of when you're getting angry. You get slower to anger, right? That's part of maturity. But then even with that, so it takes longer for you to get to the point that you used to get to. And then when you get there, you already have built in this maturity of recognizing, oh, I'm heading there. And since I'm heading there, I need to watch this behavior so that I don't fall into this thing that, I've continued to fall into. I love what I do, but it's not what I expected. Yeah, often that's true, right? You have an expectation of what something's going to be, and some of it comes true, and then some of it you recognize like, oh, I thought this was going to be different. This industry is not your friend. Well, that's my perspective. I would say for the most people, it's not their perspective, especially if you're trying to keep some sort of moral core. Sometimes the closest people to you make you feel protected, but those are the same people that hurt you most and leave you guessing. It's true. Some people say nobody's perfect but expect perfection. How are you supposed to find the answer if you don't ask the question? Sometimes I look into the mirror and talk to my reflection. When I go home and turn the music off, what am I left with? Yeah, that's an important one, right? It's the thing I hope most for people, and that's the nature of staying true to yourself, of having character, is when you're all by yourself, what are you left with? Are you happy with the person you're becoming? Do you feel like you have peace between you and the Lord? Do you have a richness in relationships? And I think fighting for all of those things is important because you do want to be able to lay your head on your pillow in peace. Life has enough challenges of its own to create enemies in the camp is not what you want in your life. That camp, that enemy can be yourself. And by enemies, I don't necessarily mean because it may be your own doing, right? If you neglect your children, then you have a strain in relationship with your children. And so, in essence, you have created your own enemy in your camp, in the place that you should be able to find camaraderie and friendship and richness and joy and love in the midst of all the things you got to work through. But there's enough exterior issues going on, things to worry about, not, what I mean by worry, but things to give attention to figure out that, that's something we fight for really hard in our home, is that our home, sure, of course, there's discipline, there's all these other things, but that our home is a place of peace and joy and rest. So that way we can come home and ultimately recharge and have the things that matter most, right? That love. Therefore, you go then and take care of all the exterior things. We used to be close, but as time passed, we became disconnected. Obviously, this is talking about the girl he left behind. You never felt loved, and I always felt disrespected. Your family thought I was a joke. I was always defensive. They just wanted what was best for you. I just couldn't accept it. And hurting you was not a part of my plan or my intentions, but I was immature. I guess I had to learn some lessons. I love how there's both here, right? I mean, he's recognizing, okay, you never felt loved, and I always felt disrespected, so there's a little defense there. But he also here is saying, hey, I was immature. I had to learn some lessons, and I was defensive. We grew apart, and our lives went in different directions, and there's a lot of responsibilities that I neglected. I had a lot that was bottled inside, couldn't express it, and this pain won't leave. I can feel the depression. It's taken over my body, feels like I'm always stressing. Doctor told me I should sleep, but I'm always restless. Yeah, get some sleep. I'm trying. I lay awake at night and think. My thoughts are relentless. I need a moment to breathe. I need a moment to vent this. I seem to be the only person that I play pretend with. Wow, that's a really interesting line. And when I turn the music off, what am I really left with? And then it gets into this breathe section. Really interesting. And like I was saying, it makes sense with the idea of therapy session, just working through these thoughts, kind of reflecting on your past, on your present, and then, thoughts of how you can improve for the future. And so, yeah, let me know your thoughts on this song, on anything that we talked about, if there's anything you saw that I didn't see. And thanks for being with me for this one. Hope to see you in the next one. Goes reading good.